Sanibonani Dumelang. My name is Nthabiseng Mabuya from Auditor General, and I am a trainee auditor and a proud Thuthuka alumni. So in 2017, when I was in matric, I received a notification stating that I've been accepted on the Thuthuka Bursary, and I was so excited. So I got accepted into the University of Johannesburg, where I studied the Bachelor of Accounting in 2018. And then when I went to my second year in 2019, that's when I offered to be a Thuthuka mentor. That is basically being a big sister to the first year students who are at the varsity. And I provided emotional support as well as academic support because I wanted to give back to this amazing organization. And then when I went to CTA, I started becoming a mentor to my fellow peers as well as the undergrad who are actually studying the Bachelor of Accounting as well. I will be the first chartered accountant in my family, and that's all thanks to Saika and Thuthuka. So as a student, I came into varsity as a top learner, and I had never experienced failure. And then when I went into varsity, that's when I started experiencing failing assessment. As much as I passed my undergrad on first attempt and my CTA on first attempt, it was still challenging because number one, you're going through peer pressure, you're going through independence because I lived at Res and I was alone. You know, it was the first time finding my own feet. And one of the challenges that I faced was just severe depression actually, because I started to let my marks become my identity. And sometimes it just got to me to a point where I started experiencing imposter syndrome, feeling that I'm not worth it. I don't deserve the bursary, you know, I don't deserve being there because everybody's passing. And it took great faith for me to actually bounce back. And it took the mentors on the Thuthuka Bursary actually to just help me with that. And one of the things that I went through was grieving the death of my father. So during that time when I was grieving, they provided emotional support when I was grieving the death of my father. And I felt like my family was with me. So being around the Thuthuka family really helped me. And also, Thuthuka has helped me be the first chartered accountant. As I am a third year trainee currently, I will be registering soon to be a chartered accountant because I recently passed my APC board exam in 2023. And that is all thanks to Thuthuka. And Thuthuka not only helped me with finances as well as academics, they also equipped the leadership role in me because currently I serve as the Young Professional Leadership Forum chairperson in my business unit. And I learned that skill just by volunteering to be a Thuthuka mentor as a second year. And that is just amazing because I can only thank Thuthuka for it. So when I joined the corporate world, I realized that I had to give back to this amazing organization because I wouldn't be where I am today without Thuthuka and Saika. So what I did was that I went back to the University of Johannesburg and I liaised with the people who allocated me to the Thuthuka Bursary at UJ. And I just told them that I'm at their disposal. Whatever they need me to do, I'm going to do it. So the first thing that I wanted to do was give a motivational talk, as well as sharing my journey, my personal journey on how I conquered certain things, giving study tips on certain modules, your major modules like accounting, taxation, finance, and auditing. And that was one of the things that I went back to do. And then one of the classes that I hosted on a different occasion was the financial literacy class. So I was tasked with homework actually to go back and just share my tips on how I used the allowance that I was receiving on the bursary, trying to differentiate between what is a need, what is a want, and how to actually save us a little bit, you know, for myself, just to spoil myself, because certain days, right, you are just tired, so you just want to take yourself out as a student, right? And the third thing that I did was go back to speak about mental health awareness, because there's certain challenges that we face as students that we are even afraid to share with our families, our loved ones, our friends, and we often suffer alone. And that's something that I also went through, you know, and we basically discussed how to get over the stigma of failure and how to actually conquer the suicidal thoughts that do come with it. Because sometimes you think that there's no way out in your situation. Sometimes you think that you're going through so much and the voices get louder and louder. And sometimes you need the support of your friends and your family just to silence that. So we did debunked on how to actually overcome the suicidal thoughts and how to reach out, to the help available to you. And the other thing that I did as a Thuthuka alumni is that I love actually going back to my community, going back to Vosloo, going back to Nthabiseng and all the areas where there's underprivileged schools, and just give a motivational talk on how I actually conquered, getting the distinctions and getting the marks that I received to actually secure a bursary like Thuthuka. And one of the things that I do is give motivational talks at high schools, as well as subject choices on providing career guidance, basically, because like we know that there's not the information is not always readily available. So I try by all means to use the resources that I have and the knowledge that I have to assist grade 11s as well as 12s, as well as their parents, so that they can support them in their journey. And then the one other thing that I did was hosting a winter school for the schools, the students in underprivileged schools. So normally on Saturdays in those schools, they have mathematics, they have physics, they have all the core subjects, but they don't actually focus on language, they don't focus on English. And one of the things that I noticed is that what differentiates a person who is a student as well as an average student is sometimes the language barrier. As an African child, English is not your first language. So I realized that I had to bridge the gap. And I asked myself, how can I help the next child who wants to be a CA? And I knew that I had to step in and actually provide skills on how to write professional writing, how to write business essays, as well as poetry, language and literature. So I tried to bridge the gap in the best way I could. And on top of all of that, I'm currently a CTA mentor. I chose CTA specifically because the pass rate there is actually not quite high. Because when you go into CTA, the gap between undergrad and CTA is quite large. And the study skills are not the same, the study techniques are not the same. So therefore, I decided that, let me just continue helping those who want to cross the finish line, because CTA is possible. As much as when you're on that journey, it feels like, you can't make it. But I decided that, no, I'm going to be a CTA mentor as well. I challenge every alumni to actually go back to the communities where they came from, because as much as we try to deny it, if you're on the Thuthuka Bursary, we are cut from the same cloth. So giving back to the community is actually an amazing initiative, because just like you, there's a student out there who wanted to be a chartered accountant or still wants to be it, but they don't know how. They don't know the resources available, they don't know the bursary opportunities, or maybe the subjects they have to choose. Right, so just go back to the schools, and you can just give back to Thuthuka, not only with financial resources. You can give back to your time, you can give back just the skills that you have learned, like financial literacy, and even, the study tips to help varsity students cope with failure, as well as your journey. Because somewhere along the way, you had a failure here and there, be it a test, be it a year. And honestly, even if it's just one module, one failure is always a great story, because it builds your character. So I challenge every Thuthuka alumni to just give back to this amazing organization, because they're the reason why we are the young professionals we are today. I stay true to my roots by actually going back to where I come from. So I always make sure that I always empower people along the way. So I go by the motto of, your success can be great, but it's of a greater magnitude when we empower people around us. So that is how I stay true to my roots, because I believe that that is my purpose. And that's why I encourage every Thuthuka alumni to follow in that footstep. So what I want you to take from this is just always remember your purpose in life. Always remember your why. And the most important thing, doesn't matter what you go through in life, never let your circumstances become your identity. And if you are a student currently facing something that is crippling you as a person, you don't know how to, just rise above the challenge, just have daily affirmations telling yourself that I am worthy, I am capable, I am competent, and I am enough, and it will end in CASA.